Hi, everybody. This is Diana at Heartfelt Creative. Today, we're going to talk about a very traditional block, and it is the Ohio Star. And I did it in this red and white because I have a group that we're going to be using this block in its different configurations to be making a very special project over the next few months. And I don't want to say too much because part of it is a surprise for them. But the Ohio Star is really a simple block to do. Like I said, it's very traditional. It's been around for a very long time. And it is basically 4 solid blocks of one, another solid block in the middle. That's easy. No cutting or sewing there except to cut the block size. And then you have 4 quarter square triangle blocks. And I'm going to show you how those get made. So don't freak yourself out. These are real simple. But what I wanted to show you about the Ohio Star, and you'll have to forgive me, I'm not doing the physical sewing today because I am not allowed. I got some tears in my rotator cuff in my arm and I'm having some trouble. I've been told not to do a lot of sewing, but you'll still get the complete idea of this. Oh, and if you want, this pattern will be available on my website, heartfeltcreativewithdiana.com for free. So if you want the details like size of the blocks and all that, you can just go print that off. It'll be downloaded in the next day or so, again, because of my shoulder. All right, so the Ohio Star, very, very simple. The main thing that you learn to make in this are these quarter square triangle blocks, which I'll show you here in a minute. But I bet you didn't know that you could make the Ohio Star look different. Let's take that white center block out and let's put our gingham in. There you go. Looks a little different that way, huh? This kind of gives you that block on point look with the star because all of the red comes together. So that's kind of a cool look. Let's flip all of our quarter square triangles. Leave the gingham in there. Now, let's look at how that looks. Now we look like we have a square in a square. That's pretty cool looking, yeah? I like that. Now let's take that out and put our white back in. And there we have that solid white. Now, let's flip these back around here. So you're really getting 2 different types of block, but you can make them look 4 different ways depending on your color scheme. So there you're back to looking like your traditional Ohio Star. This is your traditional Ohio Star with the gingham in the center. I really kind of like this idea. This one is really kind of my favorite. But you can do all these little things. Now you could also, instead of doing these colors, you could do white as your background color. Oh, sorry, making noise because I'm reaching with my arm. I'm not supposed to. So let's take those gingham corners out and let's put these white corners in and see what we get. Oh, well, now that's different looking. That's different yet. That looks like a twisted piece of candy in a wrapper. Let's take that out and let's put the gingham in. That kind of reminds me almost of the Swiss Army Red Cross idea. There we go. Let's flip our quarter squares. There we have our original Ohio Star again. It just has a white background now. Do you see? Now let's put our white square back in this way. Again, we still have our traditional Ohio star, but boy, the red really shows up on that white. Let's move our quarter squares around one more time and see what we get here. Yep, you get kind of that twisted, you know how you get a little piece of wrapped candy and it's twisted on the ends? That's what that looks like this way or this way. So you can really, yes, Maria, you could, I'm got a group watching, so Maria, you could machine embroider something in there. You sure could. And when you notice, when you start putting these together, because look, this gives you basically the three sides of a square. When you put another square over here, you'll get a secondary pattern in here too. So let's go back to our original block that I showed you. Our original Ohio star. There we go. Now, so you can decide what you want for these four. It'll be one of these two colors. So you're only using two fabrics. All of the information on sizes and all of that will be in the pattern for what size blocks and all you need. So what I want to show you real quick, I'm just gonna kind of put those out of the way. So here is our quarter square triangle block. I'm going to bring over there. I'm going to bring over my little pressing mat because you can see that white against the gray better. So there's our little quarter square triangle block. It's really quite easy. You take two blocks, one in this case, the gingham, so your one color, and one in your lighter color, and you lay them right on top, right sides together. So right sides facing, pretty sides facing one another, right? Easy peasy. And then you take your ruler, get mine out of here, set that over, and you just go from edge to edge, get my pencil, and make yourself a line. You could use heat erasable pen if you wanted to. And then I just go from tip to tip on the other side. Then you go to your sewing machine and you are going to sew 1/4 of an inch to the left and all the way down from point to point, 1/4 of an inch from the right, all the way down, point to point. Let me show you this one. This one is sewn already. So here you can see I've got, this was my center line right here. Let me put it back in. I've erased it, but let me put it back in so you can see it. And I'll put this one back in too. So you're going to sew all the way down on this side, 1/4 of an inch, and this side of 1/4 of an inch. That's all the sewing. Then when you're done, you're going to take it back to your cutting mat. And instead of cutting on this angle, you know, the one that we've just sewn, we're going to turn it and we're going to cut it to start on this line right here. Now, if you have a rotating mat, now's a really good time to get that out because it makes this a lot. You don't have to have one, and if these come apart from one another, it's not going to be a big deal. But if you have a rotating mat, you could certainly use it. So point to point, cut straight across. Okay, now I'm going to rotate my mat. Now I'm going to come straight across on this side. And what do I end up with? 4 pieces that once, let me iron these real quick. I'm just turning them with the darkest color up and flipping. So I'm pressing to the dark side. I'll do all 4 of them real quick here. And the pattern will tell you how many of these you need to make and all of that. But as you can see, 1 gingham and 1 white made 4 pieces, and they're going to make 2 blocks. So I always have to, there we go. So then you're going to take and put 2 of them together, just like that. When you put them together and line them up, flip them over, you should have 1 seam going to the left, 1 seam going to the right. All you need to do is line up those, nest them right together, use a pin, or I use these little bitty mini Wonder Clips. I love them. And then I take this over to the sewing machine using 1/4 of an inch. I sew from edge to edge. And then when I flip it over, I end up right there. So I've sewn from edge to edge. And when I flip it over and press, you end up getting your 1/4 square triangle. And then all you do is take your other 2 pieces and put those together and nest your seam right there in the middle, just like we did on that other one. Clip it. So 1/4 inch right over the cross, flip it, and there you go. And you have your 1/4 square triangle. So easy peasy. 1/4 square triangles are not difficult. And the pattern, when you print it out, will give you your exact sizes you need to start. You're going to be cutting 2 sizes of square. I'll tell you right now, that's it. You cut 2 sizes of square, 1 for these outer blocks, and 1 size to make the 1/4 square triangles. So you'll end up making 4 1/4 square triangles, and then you'll have these 5 solid blocks. And then what you'll do is put them together, a solid, a 1/4 square, and a solid. So you'd sew those 2 together, and then that one to this piece, and you do that in this row, and then you do that in this row, and then you take this whole piece, fold it over, right sides together, and sew these together, and do the same thing with this one to the middle, fold it over, 1/4 inch seam on everything, and then you give everything a good press. I'm trying to get this nice and close in here. I'm so sorry I couldn't do the actual sewing for you all today, but I didn't want to miss out showing this to you. And there you have your Ohio star. And like I showed you before, you can decide if you want that, which center color you want, or if you want to do that completely different look by flipping the colors of your 1/4 square triangles. Isn't that fun? So it's always fun to play with some of these traditional blocks because you can get all kinds of new looks, and depending on how you put those together, then when you go to put all of these blocks together, you can get secondary blocks between them. It's just great fun. I love playing with these older traditional blocks that way. So if you wish to try this out, you can print the pattern off for free off of my website, Heartfelt Creative with Diana, and it will take you through all of these steps. There will be diagrams to show you how to put these together and what you need to sew, your supply list, and everything will be right there. So that is the demonstration part of today's Patches and Pieces. So I'm going to stop the recording.